When narcissists finally fall, how God's justice brings them a pain they never saw coming. Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving deep into a subject that touches the lives of so many, whether they realize it or not: narcissism, and how those who live with it ultimately face a reckoning that they could never imagine. We often hear about how narcissists manipulate, charm, and dominate those around them, leaving a trail of broken hearts, shattered dreams, and crushed spirits in their wake. But what happens when it's their turn to face the consequences of their actions? What happens when God's justice steps in and they finally fall from the towering pedestal they've built for themselves? Stick with us until the end, because today we're exploring how divine justice brings narcissists a pain they never saw coming. Before we jump into this thought-provoking discussion, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and share it with anyone who might need a little extra wisdom and insight in their life. We're going to unravel the mysterious ways in which karma, fate, and God's justice work in the lives of those who believe themselves untouchable. So, if you've ever wondered how or if narcissists ever truly pay for the pain they cause, you're in the right place. Now, let's dive in. Narcissists, as you probably know, seem like they're invincible. They exude confidence, charm, and often use their manipulative skills to get ahead, at the expense of those around them. But here's the thing: no matter how indestructible they appear, there's one force they can't outrun. And that's divine justice, God's way of making things right, of balancing the scales. It may not come when we expect it, but when it does, it hits hard. You'll want to stay with us through this entire video because by the end, you'll see just how meticulously the universe works to bring narcissists to their knees, even when they think they've conquered everything. Now, some of you might be wondering, but how can people like that ever really fall? They seem to get away with everything. Well, on the surface, it can feel like that. Narcissists are experts at hiding their insecurities behind a facade of confidence. They know how to manipulate situations, charm others into submission, and always seem to land on their feet. But just because we don't see the consequences right away doesn't mean they aren't coming. God's justice operates on a different timeline than ours. It's precise, patient, and when it arrives, it's undeniable. Keep watching, because the examples we'll talk about next will show just how blind narcissists are to the downfall that's creeping toward them. For those who've been hurt by a narcissist, it can be easy to feel like justice is a long time coming. Maybe you've been the victim of their lies, their manipulation, or their constant need for control. You may have even lost hope that they'll ever face the consequences of their actions. But let me tell you, no one escapes divine justice. The very traits that narcissists rely on, manipulation, deceit, arrogance, are the same traits that eventually lead to their undoing. And here's where it gets really interesting. The pain they inflict on others is nothing compared to the pain they'll feel when everything they've built comes crashing down. The deeper we go into this topic, the more you'll see how this plays out in ways that will leave you speechless. So, make sure to watch all the way through. One of the most striking aspects of narcissists is their unshakable belief that they're untouchable. They move through life like they're immune to the consequences of their actions. But here's a fact that's hard to ignore. The higher they climb on the ladder of lies, the harder they fall when God's justice decides it's time. And trust me, when a narcissist finally experiences that fall, it's not just a bump in the road. It's a catastrophic, life-altering event. They never see it coming, and that's what makes it so powerful. The world they've carefully constructed, the people they've manipulated, and the reputation they've built, all of it crumbles. It's in this moment of vulnerability that we see the truth. No one is immune from divine justice, no matter how powerful they believe themselves to be. For those still following, I want you to think about the narcissist in your life. Maybe it's a family member, a partner, or even a boss. You've watched them act with arrogance and cruelty, and you've probably wondered if they'll ever face the consequences. They will, but not in the way we might expect. You see, God's justice doesn't always come in the form of public humiliation or an obvious downfall. Sometimes, it happens in the silence of their own mind. That sense of superiority they cling to is fragile. And when it shatters, when they realize they're not the center of the universe, that's when their true pain begins. This internal collapse is far more devastating than any external punishment we could imagine. Keep watching, because in a moment, we'll explore how this mental and emotional downfall is only the beginning. It's almost poetic, the way God's justice works. The narcissist, who has built their life on the belief that they are special, unique, and superior, suddenly faces the undeniable truth: they're just like everyone else. And not only that, they're deeply flawed. The more they try to maintain control, the more control slips through their fingers. Their relationships deteriorate, their career begins to falter, and the very people they've hurt begin to thrive without them. It's like watching a slow-motion collapse, one that they can't stop, no matter how hard they try. And the most painful part for them? They have no one to blame but themselves. If you've made it this far, thank you for staying with us. This next part is critical, because it's where we see just how intricate and far-reaching God's justice is. Narcissists live in a constant state of denial. They deny their flaws, deny the harm they cause, and deny that they could ever be wrong. But when they finally face their downfall, they are forced to confront the very things they've spent their entire lives avoiding. This confrontation is brutal. It's like holding up a mirror and seeing, for the first time, the reality of who they are. No more lies, no more manipulation, just the cold, hard truth. And this truth is what ultimately breaks them. As we move toward the conclusion of this discussion, I want to emphasize something important. While it can be tempting to wait for a narcissist's fall with anticipation, it's crucial to remember that their downfall isn't something to celebrate. It's a painful, often tragic process. Narcissists are broken people who have spent their lives building walls around themselves, walls made of arrogance, manipulation, and deceit. When those walls finally come down, they're left vulnerable and exposed. It's in this moment that God's justice reveals itself, not as a punishment, but as a reckoning. A chance for the narcissist to see the truth and, perhaps, seek redemption. But whether they choose redemption is another story. Many narcissists are so deeply entrenched in their behavior that even when faced with their own destruction, they refuse to change. They may continue to lash out, blame others, or retreat further into their own delusions. But make no mistake, the fall has already happened. The life they once knew, the power they once held, is gone. And in its place is a void they can't fill with charm, manipulation, or lies. To those of you watching who have been hurt by a narcissist, I want to leave you with this. Their fall may not happen on your timeline, and it may not look the way you expect it to. But it will happen. God's justice is not something we can rush, but it is something we can trust. When narcissists finally fall, they fall hard, and the pain they feel is far greater than anything they've inflicted on others. It's a pain they never saw coming, and it's one they can't escape. Thank you for sticking with us until the end of this discussion. I hope this video has given you insight into the ways that divine justice works in the lives of those who believe themselves untouchable. Remember, no one is above the laws of karma, fate, or God's justice. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We'll continue to bring you thoughtful and impactful content that helps you navigate the complexities of life with wisdom and grace. Until next time, take care and be well.